That's how we own it.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Tamika D, Mallory.
And it's your boy, Mysonne, the General.
And we are your host of Street Politicians, the place where the streets and politics meet. Finally, you don't sound like you're not saying it, trying to copy how well I say it.
I told you already to what it is that I'm doing now. If you want to keep reiterating the same thing, then go on then.
I know. Copy me.
Okay. That's what it is.
Yeah. So I and you were on at different parts of the last few weeks. You and others have been on the road. We've all been on the road together. But I was on the road for about 3 weeks. And I don't know if I can sustain living in America. Like, I might have to move because the cost of survival. And by the way, I tried to do one or two fun things too. Like when everybody was gone and it was just me by myself, you know, I tried to like do a little fun. And I was trying to just like literally by myself, focus on a few fun things. And I don't understand how people are surviving with these numbers. They keep saying there's no inflation. No recession. They keep saying there's no recession. I don't know why. And I don't hear it usually when the Democrats lie, because they lie and they try to cover up things. Of course, every political party is going to try to suppress any negative information because they don't want, especially when they're coming up on election time, to have certain dark clouds over. So every administration does that. Every political party is going to talk up their good side. So, but I also don't hear a counterbalance from the Republicans saying that there is a recession. It seems like no one is saying there's a recession. Maybe of course, there are analysts and others, but a person who I'm not struggling, am telling you, it is way too expensive. Flights, hotel, car services, just services in general, $350 for makeup, $400 for this, $200. It's a lot of money to survive. And it makes me feel I just don't know. And I know I keep saying the same thing almost every show, but I feel like it's getting worse.
I definitely agree with you. The cost of living has skyrocketed, and being in a position to actually be able to pay your bills without worrying about that, and then like you said, trying to have a good time, you actually see how fast money goes, and it's just like $1,000 here, $500 here, every this and that, just trying to maintain. And the average person, has to be dealing with a lot. I know. Case in point, we just see all these robberies are starting to happen. And I think that's like who was it that got robbed this week?
Damson Idris, he's an actor. And then of course, our auntie Tina Knowles, her house was also burglarized, where an entire safe was removed. And listen, that's very triggering to me because as you know, my son's father was murdered over a safe being removed from a house that he was living in with some people in Pennsylvania. And the one thing I know is that whenever somebody physically moves a whole safe, they have information about where it is, how long they're going to have to get it out. Because I'm sure, and by the way, we haven't even heard Tina Knowles confirm anything about this. So they're saying it was $1 million in the safe. The media, they make up anything all the time. So we don't know how much money was really in it. But $1 million is a lot of money to move. And so if they did move $1 million and jury in a safe, the safe was not light. That means that they knew they had time to physically move the safe. And it's funny, my son, because my parents never told the neighbors when they were going to be out of town. But in the social media era, it's hard for people not to know that you're on tour with your daughter in Europe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard for people not to know that you're on a yacht with Magic Johnson and Cookie Johnson, and they do their trip every year. Samuel Jackson, this big trip that I always sit and just fantasize on what it would be like to spend time just sitting with them and listening to the wisdom and the stories and the funnies. So this is stuff that people are watching. So while you're out of town, they know how long it's going to be before you return.
Yeah, and people are hungry. It goes down to that. The inflation that they say is not happening, the recession they say we're not in. People are really, like we was talking about that, people are really trying to figure out, because there's a lifestyle. And I think what happens with social media, it also shows people really living and enjoying life, right? And if you're just somebody,
or at least they look like they are.
Well, they look like they are, but you don't really look like you are if you're on a boat, in the 7 seas with 5 or 6 millionaires and billionaires. You don't really look like you at a party surrounded by the top artists, and everybody got on, and they got a whole page on the how much the watches cost. They had 50 people that was in a certain party, and they were showing the watches that range anywhere from $50 to $1 million. They were just showing the watches that each of them had on. So it don't really look like you. You actually can pretty much concur that these people are living their best life. And when you
but you don't know what people got going on. You just
you don't. But I'm just trying to say, it's hard for you to believe that they're not. When you look and you like, I know where I would be enjoying myself with that, but you got about $50 in your pocket. The bills is coming. The kids is hungry. The gas, you got your check engine light on, you young and just impressionable. So it's a lot of pressures that I realize that this generation deals with that we didn't have to do. We just had to deal with seeing the people from our block have a couple of things that we didn't have. But when you go to social media and it looks like everybody in the world is doing better than you, it's a lot. It's a lot of stress. So I say all the time, poverty is violence, man. And I'm thankful that there was nobody in those homes. That only thing it was some property that they probably have,
and I'm sure they feel
insurance on. Yeah, they probably can insure and get back whatever it is that they lost. But we just had some real tough times.
No, it is. I mean, and the burglaries, everybody has to be aware, because it's like, in my house, it's a total different situation because there are people here all the time, 24 hours a day, round the clock. It's somebody in the house, people watching my house. We have it set up that way. And I'm not saying that there's not in Tina Knowles' house either. Obviously, she doesn't have the same, resource. I mean, I don't have the same resources that she has, but I actually live with other people. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. It's a total different situation. I live with other people. So there's people always around. Nonetheless, when I say we're going to Kentucky to fight Daniel Cameron, or we're going to the exact spot where AJ Owens was murdered, when I say those things, people know that you're not around. You're not at home. Or at least they think that you're not at home. And just like you said, I'm glad that no one was in those homes that was harmed. The other side of it is, I'm glad you didn't walk into somebody's house trying to steal their stuff and they were home and put a bullet all the way through your behind. Mm-hmm. So this is a time that people are living real dangerous, because folks is not going to let you just take their stuff because you going through whatever you're going through. They're not going to allow it to happen. So you're going to see more people. Did you ever see, I don't know if I ever told you, or maybe I did send it to you, when the Uber Eats or one of those delivery services, when he tried to twist the doorknob of a woman, and the woman pulled a gun on him and held him at gunpoint until the police arrived. Like, you gonna mess around and go up in and find out that people are not playing about their stuff. And you know what I think is so funny? If it is true that there was $1 million in Tina Knowles' house, right? If it's true. Now, these are people who have massive resources. And yet and still, she still has some cash in the house. Black folks gonna put some cash in the house in case anything shall happen.
That's old school, man. We was taught that, man. The banks might close. Don't put all your faith in technology and all. Like, have you some money, and just in case anything go bad. So yeah, Mama Tina don't play. She from the old school.
Had you a little cash in the house, but again, we don't know that story is exactly as it's being told. So, speaking of money, the family of Tyre Nichols is suing the city of Memphis for $500 million. And the audacity, and I get it, lawyers gonna lawyer, right? Any system, it is going to try to protect itself. But they're trying to the city of Memphis is trying to get the lawsuit dropped so that they don't have to pay this family the $500 million. I don't know what they're talking about. We saw it. Like, everybody saw why it's $500 million is not even enough for the trauma of the whole community. They ought to be paying everybody, all of us that had to watch Tyre Nichols being beat to death by those officers. So the audacity of them to even try they should be saying, let's just settle it quietly. I do understand, again, lawyers are gonna lawyer, but even I don't know. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. I think y'all should figure out how you can settle. If they want 500, give them $499, man. Because y'all ain't got a snowball chance in hell what they did to that man. The egregiousness, the fact that that it even happens is you can't first of all, you can't put a price tag on life. And the fact that his mother, his parents, and his family have to be reminded of the way he was brutally and just beat, and it seemed like it was so malicious, and the fact that just that vision, yeah, exactly, and just that vision being able to go mull over your head, I don't think you can put no price. I think actually, you ask me, they should be asking for $1 billion, but I just think that all of our taxpayers, we send money to people that ain't done shit for us, that don't deserve it. We give millions and billions of dollars to other countries for shit, and we always say we don't have money. Well, this would be our tax money going to the right thing, and then and hopefully we start ending this qualified immunity so these officers could have to pay out their own pocket, right, and be dead broke. Right. Unfortunately, the man lost his life and he's dead, but we want y'all to be dead broke while you're alive.
Right, because the thing is, the way that, legislatively, we still are fighting to change the laws, and there is a fight against us to get that done. But economically, you can certainly make sure, as Attorney Crump always says, that we make killing a Black man or woman unjustifiably so expensive that the country can't even continue to pay the fees to, for this immunity of murder. It's just, we need it to be so expensive that they say we got to do something different because we can't keep on paying out this type of money. And yes, it is taxpayer dollars. There's also some insurance policies and other things that play into it. So it's not all taxpayer dollars. There's some other pieces that play into how the departments have to pay as well. And the city of Memphis, all of them. And like you said, the police officers ought to be paying themselves. They should never, ever, 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 ever be comfortable anywhere in their lives. They shouldn't have no money. They should be shamed. They should have to move for people doing protests outside of their homes. They should just be as uncomfortable as possible. That's what I think about that. So Essence, we just came out of Essence weekend, and over 1 million Black women, specifically, more people, but Black women getting together in New Orleans, in that city, And you know something that I was thinking to myself, that is really the one place that when I look around, I do not see white people. They don't be there. I don't see them. I mean, I know they're in New Orleans, but in terms of like, you know how white folks always find like at the rallies and different things, you see white people. You see, we just finished at the rally for AJ Owens, and there was white people there. Mm-hmm. White people always are, but for whatever reason, during Essence, there's no white people.
Ain't no white people there.
White people go during Essence.
I don't know. It's not they think. I think you know.
I mean, I'm not saying they should be there. I'm just saying it's
like you might see one or two. I don't even know if you see one or two. Actually, I don't know, but you know, there's a couple. There's a couple people that come to the cookout that you know you might see here and there. But for the most part, like you said, it's really not many Caucasians there. But
while Jill Scott was singing the Star Spangled Banner, or the Black Star Spangled Banner, which I thought was powerful, by the way. Yes. I was looking around because that's heavy. And I was looking around to see the discomfort of, you know, white folks. And it occurred to me that there were none.
Ain't nothing to be discomfort.
Well, that's interesting. But anyway.
You know, what bothers me, okay, forget it. Don't worry. This is, no, it's not. Don't worry about it. For me, this notion that when we critique America and when we say things and we bring up historical events that we know, when she talked about all the things that she said in that Star Spangled Banner, which she rewrote it so that it
when
fits.
She was 19 years old.
Yes, so that it fits the narrative of what we actually deal with and have dealt with in America, that there were so many people with this, well, if you don't like it here, why don't you just go? And that shit bothers me more than anything. You know, the fact that we actually live here and like she said, this fucking country is built on our backs. We have every right to critique. We have every right to point out historical events that have been not so favorable, that we've had to endure, that our ancestors have had to endure. And nobody gets to keep telling us that we shouldn't be here if we're not okay with the fact that our people were enslaved. It's like the dumbest shit ever, you know. And I hate that. You know, somebody was on my page. It's this one person on my page that said that shit, and I think it's over 1,000 people that's underneath him calling him every dumb mother effer that they can possibly think of. And it's just sad that there are people who think that we're supposed to be silent about a pain and a historical, one of the most egregious event in history, in American history, that we should be silent, especially after we see the remnants and the rembrandts of what has happened to our people. What, you know, when we look and see the conditions that our people are faced today, they are direct, you know, results of what we talk about. So all of y'all with the, if we don't like it, leave. If you can't see it, then my middle finger's up.
Well, there's a lot of people that if you don't like it, leave, because that was a big part of the whole Essence debate. You know, several nights of a concert. And of course, Janelle Monáe, I was there for her performance while waiting for Lauryn Hill to come out. And then I think the next night, or maybe the last night, which I wasn't there for, Meg Thee Stallion performed. And there was some, we don't like it, so either we're leaving, or we really, what I heard people saying was they wanted Meg and Janelle Monáe to either tone down and or don't be in the show. And you know, I thought to myself, first of all, Janelle Monáe and Meg in her own way, they are a special cup of tea that you have to want, right? Like you, it's not regular Lipton, right? This is whatever pie, whatever thing, it's got spice and all that in it, for sure. I'm not going to take that. I understand. I also understand that we live in a highly sexually charged time. So right now, sex. I get it. Totally understand that there are people who feel like, every time they turn on their cell phone, every time they, anything they do, they're seeing this sex being pushed in their faces, and therefore their children are impacted by it. I do not disagree or not understand it. I don't. But what I would say, to offer a balanced approach, right? And I guess it's very much so the thought of the day for me. The first night of the concert, Lauryn Hill had on about 4 outfits in one thing. She had on some big feathers thing covering up everything. Her full body was covered. She didn't twerk not one time, right? So Lauryn Hill Janelle came on before her. She pulled out the nipple. I don't really understand. I was there, but I don't think I was paying attention close enough to understand the context of what happened in that moment, which the nipple was covered, by the way, but still she pulled her breast out. So that was one thing. Then you had Lauryn Hill, right? Then after Lauryn, the next night, you had Missy Elliott, who we know is fully dressed with the shimmery and even the baggy clothes, and she's Missy doing what Missy does, right? A little bit of sexy, but she's not overly sexy. The last night, you had Meg Thee Stallion and some twerkers. My thing is, everything you wanted was there. There's people, women, when you got a million women going to a show, participating in a conference, it is true that there are going to be different types of women who are interested in different things. And I think from my perspective, right, one, you don't have to participate in the parts you don't want to see. What I do every year, I get the Essence schedule. I don't like to go out every night. That's not my thing. So I look at the schedule and I see who I am interested in. Lauryn was somebody, I was there, my homegirl and we sat for hours on end while Essence, for whatever reason, the schedule, I don't know, but it was late before Lauryn came out, and it was not her fault because she came right out once, her people was doing their set while Kenny Burns and DJ Clark Kent was doing their thing. The set was being built, and as soon as the set was finished, Lauryn was on the stage. So we're not going to do the Lauryn Hill be late thing. I know she does this sometime, but she wasn't this time. But it was super late by the time she came out. That's who I wanted to see. There were other things on the schedule that I wasn't interested in. So therefore, I didn't show up early or I left early. I tailored my experience to my taste. So if I don't want to see Meg Thee Stallion and the Meg Knees do that twerk thing she does, which, by the way, I like it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I guess I'm of a generation or whatever the case may be. I'm not against Meg and her twerking. I'm just not. But I understand there's people who don't like it. So then you don't have to see it. And then you were saying something the other day. I heard you saying that, well.
Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Huh?
No, I wanted to reiterate it, but if you want to repeat it, you can.
No, you were saying that Essence has been a certain thing. So people are looking for a certain quality. But I think
it's not even quality. I'm not saying quality because I'm not trying to make it seem like what Meg does is of less quality. It's just a different genre. It's a different feel. It's a different dynamic. And I think since I've been going to Essence, there's always been this theme of dynamic, right? It's hip hop excellence. It's more geared towards not more of the conservative kind of understanding. I think most artists who come and perform at Essence have pretty much classic hits. Pretty much they have either classic hits or new classic hits, and they perform them as if they're performing for a certain crowd, right? And I think even some of our most explicit and people who push radical artists who push the envelope sexually, when they come to Essence, they perform it in a different way. And I think maybe, I mean, because I don't think that I've seen anyone who performed at Essence with the level of sexuality that Janelle did or that Meg did yet. Maybe they have been. Maybe we can go to former, performances and say, oh, such and such did this, and such was way more explicit than that. I don't think that's a dynamic that has really been introduced. And I think, to your point, like you said, that they're trying to attract a younger audience and keep, moving to a different space and actually maybe evolve. But there's a lot of people that just like their stuff the way they had it, right? There's a lot of people that go to Essence every year and they're used to a thing. They're used to hearing their favorite artists, that they've been in love with for the last 10, 15, 20 years, sing their classics, do their songs, jump up and down. It's not, and it's a lot more family oriented show. It's not a lot of, that kind of material that's been there. So people are there, you got, in the Essence crowd, you got people from 20 to 80. There's 80-year-old older women that's sitting in there, and because they fans of Lauryn Hill, they fans of Missy, they've been, they like certain songs. They've come there every year, and there's certain artists that they this is their time. They go to there, they see their friends, they get their same seats every year, and this is their thing. So when they see something that's completely new and is on the side of sexual, that's not more family orientated, some of them are going to be irritated. Their kids going to be like, oh, that's my girl Megan. But some of the elder people who've been going to Essence for 20 and 30 years, they're not just going to be okay with it.
Well, but let me just say this, right? Well, first of all, India Ari had, and hopefully when our guest joins, we'll get an opportunity to talk about this some more, because I made a comment on his page when he was saying thank you to India. And I think India Ari is a goddess. Anything she say, I love. India Ari is like, for me, I want to see her on my TV and listen to her all the time. I love India Ari. Anybody who knows me knows I love India. My position though, with what she said, is that, why we're making this culture mainstream. And I don't like this moment. And my response to those two things at once is that the reason why you didn't necessarily see, and I don't know, I can't remember every show, right? So I can't say for sure what's in every show. I think I generally agree with you that, because we know that twerking, or the twerk culture, which by the way, I know and I asked my mama to be clear, because somebody else said, no, it's getting worse. I asked my mama, when Tina Turner came out and started shaking with the shimmery with her butt and doing the whole thing, people thought that was too much. Mm-hmm. They thought it was too much. They said it was too, by the way, Beyonce has been told, even by some of our own leaders, to put some more clothes on, and that she's too sexy and too explicit, right?
But that goes to my point though.
No, but let me just finish saying what I'm saying. So the thing is, Essence has a responsibility to stay relevant to the whole culture. It's not about. I don't know if that's what people are saying. I don't know if, because it's just like India Ari. No, because India Ari has a brand that she's, what India Ari says is what she came in to the game with that same mentality. That's the brand of music. So what she's saying is not far-fetched for India to say. Like, this is what India is to say. So when anybody that critiques what she says, that's who she's always been. She's always been, I don't know why women are taking their clothes off, and I'm not going to do that. And I'm not critiquing that. I'm not critiquing that. I'm saying that she was trying to push back against Essence, and Essence released a statement which they did not call her name, but they said, we have a wide array of folks that we are trying to bring the entertainment that they like to them, right? Now, granted, say whatever you want, I looked at the footage. I wasn't there for Meg, but I looked at the footage and I saw some older people who you were talking about getting down because they like a few of Meg's songs. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that you're never going to please everybody. And I do understand that there's a thin line because the issue is so much bigger than just Meg and Janelle twerking, right? It's bigger than that. I get it. The broader conversation here is what is happening to our society and our women and our men and whatever, because of so many different issues that we're seeing. We see in the Christian rocks and and I guess that's how you tell me it's Christian. Krishan, excuse me, her and the
big sexy
red. It's a lot. But I truly do believe, my opinion, I don't think these people are going to last long. And I'm not talking about Meg and Cardi and folks like that. I'm talking about these other young ladies. I think they're going to have to evolve even in their brands, because eventually you can only be but so many booty holes before people like, all right, we got it. What else?
I hear what you're saying, but I just wanted to go back to a point because our guest is in the ring room and we need to bring them on in a second. But when you talk about Tina Turner, right, and then you talk about Beyonce, you talk about how people were saying that was too much, right? You see that there's less and less clothes every time, right?
Yeah,
So what I'm saying is you definitely see it's not the same. So it's not, when we saying something, there's definitely it's going to a point where Tina had, she shook her butt at the camera and she had a little shimmery thing. Now this person's gonna shake her butt and she's gonna have a leotard on. This person's gonna have a thong on. This one gonna be naked. Like there is growth. It's moving.
Agree.
So
I agree.
So people,
I agree.
so everybody is not going to agree with it, and that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that there has to be, and there can be. It doesn't. Everything doesn't have to fit into one thing. Like no. Nobody's going to make me think that the church is going to evolve to the preacher up there or the whoever's the priest. If there's a female, she's up there twerking because this is the church we want. I don't. So that's what I'm trying to say.
But if you want to put that,
we can't say that we want to appeal to, because there are people that's in the church that love Meg Thee Stallion, but they're not going to go to church to see.
But it wasn't church.
No, but what I'm trying to say is but it was the Essence Fest has a certain brand, and people go there because that brand represents a thing. And if that brand stops, and that's what a lot of artists do. It's called a lot of artists in an attempt to reach a new demographic and get a new fan base, they do something different, and you go away from what your brand has established that has you there for 30 and 40 years. And what you start doing, you start realizing you're not actually gaining, because that demographic that you're going after is not really your fan base.
Yeah, but
because the thing is this, you like Meg and all that, but you've been going to Essence for something else, because that's when you go there, that's not usually what you see.
But I'm not gonna not go to Essence. By the way, I don't think I want to see some of these other type of artists out there, but I don't see Meg as being.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying Meg. Like I think Meg is a dope artist.
That's not going to stop me. That's not going to stop me from going to the concert. And the majority of women will continue to go, but everybody does have to have an element of the different, little taste. If you do a festival, you're going to put a taste. The bottom line is there's nothing
wrong with having a brand.
Let me just finish saying what I'm saying.
And sticking with your brand.
But it's not about sticking, because the brand has evolved. I'm sure there were things that they did before that they started doing something else and people were like, I don't like this. Why is this happening? It always are going to be people that are not going to like different elements. But the overwhelming majority, from Lauren to Missy to Jill Scott to this one and that one, was on key. They had one or two things that was a little different. I'm
not saying there's nothing wrong with those artists. We are, but there's nothing wrong with those artists. But the reality situation is, I don't think people go to the Essence to see the visuals of those things. They might
They
love
was
the
having a
songs.
ball. They was in the aisles dancing,
Okay,
loving it up. So
maybe
anyway,
you're right.
we should bring our guests in.
As always, our show is full of our friends, and this guest is no different. He's a brother I respect musically. You know, I love what he does for his community, with the community at large. He's an educator, he's dope lyricist, and he's one of my guys. This brother here, Hakim Green from Channel Live, the founder of 24 Hours of Peace and a New Jersey native. He is here to join us today. How you doing today, brother?
I'm great. I'm excellent. Thank you for having me on the show. It is completely my honor. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Ma'am. Peace, queen.
What's up, man? You know how much we love you, Hakim. We always speak very highly of you because you are just that type of dude. And everywhere, I've not ever heard anyone say something bad about Hakim Green. I just haven't.
There's somebody out there with some darts for me.
They don't say it to me. And trust me, people got something to tell me about everybody. But they never say anything bad about you. And I think that is a true testament, to who you are and what you've done. You know, my dad is that type of guy that everywhere he goes, people say positive things about him. And that's a good thing when you can actually walk in and out of rooms and have people, carry your name and uphold your legacy in a positive way.
Well, I thank my mother. She gets all the credit.
Yeah.
Yes, as she should, man.
Yes, sir.
So Hakim, I know you do a bunch of work. You know, you're part of the legendary Channel Live. And in that concert, I'm gonna need me a couple tickets, Hakim. I gotta call me a favor, man. You know, they're gonna be at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, no. I'm not going to be in Yankee Stadium.
You're not coming to Yankee Stadium?
Man, I can't afford Yankee Stadium. It's crazy. They jacking jokers up. They got their arm behind the back.
Look, you should be at the Yankee Stadium, man.
I'm gonna try, but we're working hard to pull off August 12th, the very next day.
The very next day.
KRS-One, Temple of Hip Hop, 24 Hours apiece. We're doing a hip hop celebration on the block in front of 1520 Sedgwick Avenue on the 12th, the next day.
Oh, so you're gonna be in the hood? That's my hood. You know, I'm from. I'm from University and all that. So that's right down the block. I was born in the birth.
That's what hip hop is about: being in the hood and touching down with the people. You see how we do in Newark every year. Yes, so sir. It's the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and the community that gave us hip hop, we need to give something back. So we doing our effort for free, even though the Yankee Stadium event is looking quite legendary.
It is.
It's just crazy.
It's
crazy. But for the people, we over on Sedgwick Avenue, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue on August 12th. See us over there.
We got to promote that. August 12th.
Well, I saw you with Chris at the Ja Rule show a few weeks back, and I know you guys chopped it up. So I'm hoping we got Mysonne on the bill.
Well, listen, man, from your mouth to God's ears, man. Listen, I would love to be there. That's the hood. I'm one of. I started rapping because of Chris. So it's like, if you're from the Bronx and Chris didn't influence you as a lyricist, then I don't even know what you was doing. So I definitely would love to be there. And,
all right, so we're finalizing the flyer right now, talking about promotion. So we're going to add Mysonne's name on there, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Do business. Right?
Listen,
in the nick of time.
Right in the nick of time.
Yeah.
So tell people about 24 Hours apiece, how it was started, what is the goal, and where it is, everything.
Yeah. Well, like you, I was highly influenced by KRS-One. Of course, I worked with him with the Channel Live, Madison record. But in 2006, 2007, we reconnected and we initiated the Stop the Violence movement as a nonprofit. So in doing that work and kind of coalescing, using hip hop to coalesce around peace, love, unity, safety, having fun, it kind of allowed me to carry this over to Jersey, where I hooked up with Roz Baraka, who was then South Ward councilman, principal at Central High School. And following him and the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, it was like, okay, how can we use hip hop culture to push peace, love, unity, safety, having fun? I got with Amiri Baraka Jr. He was like, yo, we need to put the hip hop out on the block. for 24 hours, hot all day, all night. I'm like, 24 hours? Why don't we just do something like 4 to 6 hours, in and out, easy setup? No, we got to make a statement and do this for 24 hours. And that's how 24 Hours of Peace was launched. Peace, love, unity, safety, having fun. There's a lot of people in our community who are already doing the work. I mentioned the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, and like yourselves, you guys are doing the real work. The commercial is the commercial, right? And as artists and creatives, we have the ability and the power to shape the messaging in a certain way. So that's what I'm doing with, my effort to support the work, the real work that you guys do, the folks that are in Newark, New Jersey. Big shout out to the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery and the Brick City Peace Collective. You guys can do your research, but we're talking about that real work, tending to people who have suffered violence, traumatic experiences, getting that extra support, organizing city government around that effort. That's what it's about, and we can use hip hop to engage folks in that way.
Definitely. You've been, a stalwart in that area for years. I remember when you brought me out to 24 Hours of Peace, and I was amazed, like, dang, it's this level of energy. I think Queen Latifah was there. There was so many people there, and it was just a dope event. So when is the next 24? When is 24 Hours of Peace this year?
The next one is September 1st and 2nd, of course, in Newark, New Jersey. And we try to schedule it towards the end of the summer, heading back to school, just to start the school year off on a positive note. And we've been able to do that since 2010, every year since 2010, except for the pandemic year. And
how have you seen, like, in terms of the data? I never forget in New York City, one of the biggest fights I had with Mayor Bloomberg was around getting money for the anti-violence work. Of course, Erica Ford and A.T. Mitchell and so many people in the city of New York, we were fighting for resources. And Mayor Bloomberg said that there was no data to prove that funding small grassroots groups would actually help to reduce violence. He thought it should be all about the political side and, of course, passing legislation to get guns off the street and all of that. And we said, no, that's part two. Part one is invest in our communities. So from the 24 Hours of Peace component and thinking of, let me go backwards and say, but when he talked about data, we understood then that was necessary going forward. So we would never be caught out there again without data points. So no one could deny resources based upon that. So what do you have, what do you think in terms of what 24 Hours of Peace, the impact that it has on the community?
Okay, so let's just say 24 Hours of Peace is one day in a year, right? And it's organizing the cultural community, the artist community, plugging into the nonprofits that already exist, and of course, with the city comes behind it with the support. It's a part of a larger effort spearheaded by the mayor. Before he was the mayor, he launched the initiative to declare violence a public health issue, which was about local, state, federal government investing in community. The number one resource is human resource. So if we don't invest in human beings, everything else is garbage, right? So RAS, understanding that, has a series of initiatives. Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, Brick City Peace Collective are just two of the flowers on that tree. It's an overarching, and I don't want to speak like an expert as if I know all the bits and pieces. That said, Newark is experiencing the lowest violence and crime rates since before the Newark riots in '67. Last year, New York Police Department didn't fire their gun one time, not shoot somebody. They didn't fire their weapon one time. And I think that the city has
in the summer or throughout the whole year?
Throughout the entire year.
In Newark.
In Newark. Last year, Newark Police Department didn't fire their weapon one time.
And he defunded the police.
That's the culture.
It's culture. I don't, I said I don't work for the mayor. I don't work for the city. I don't think they like the call. I know, but people get a little itchy about the defund word, but it is what it is. He took money from the police department and put it into these programs. And the effect
I didn't say he abolished the police, obviously,
Right.
And that's not what defund means. Like people try to twist it on purpose because they want to confuse folks. Defunding means take some money, as you said, and shift it to other places. And you are able to prove that when you invest in human resources is the best resource, when you invest in community and not so much in punitive damage methods, that you'll see more success in terms of safety and so on and so forth. And by the way, I mean, I know these things because obviously we talk to Mayor Baraka all the time. It is also dangerous to have police officers having to fill the role of being the mental health therapist. You were gonna say, go ahead.
Right. Well, no, it's you know, they're called peace officers. Right. And you know, that first line of defense should be offense, should be the work of peace officers who are trained professionals, social workers, psychologists, educators who know how to, you know, talk the talk when it comes to de-escalating people having mental health crises, walk them, get them over to the other side. They're needed. You know, people are crying out for help or having meltdowns at a lot of times, and they need professionals, not just somebody to show up with a gun. And you know what Mayor Baraka has been doing in Newark, New Jersey, not just with getting behind 24 hours of peace, but everything that he's doing is transforming the city in a positive way.
Well, yeah, shout out to Ross Rock. Yeah, definitely shout out to Ross Rock. We've been doing work with Boycott Black Murder in Newark. You know, shout out to Keisha Yuri, shout out to Kalisha Hill, the people who work those programs that you're talking about. And a lot of other organizations like New Direction, who I work with, you know, one of the NOI brothers who work out there. It's a lot. It's a real collective. You know, I've been working with these individuals, and they're very intentional, and they're serious about the community. So the work that's happening there, you know, it's a blueprint. It's a blueprint for the rest of the cities and the rest of the states. You know, that if you actually invest the money in people, in the community, that you'll see change. So shout out to them.
Make sure we spread love to our brother Bashir Akinyele. You know, he's another brother that before everybody got to Newark to start doing anti-violence work, he was on the ground. This brother has been consistent. He is like the father, if you will, of anti-violence organizing in my eyes. Now, I know there were people before him, but I'm saying I'm 43 years old and I've been knowing Bashir.
I've known Bashir since I was 8 years old.
Exactly.
Right. So I like, in terms of our walk, like we walk together. It's a crew of us that, you know, I graduated high school 1987.
Yeah.
So way back in the day. So it's like, you know, a lot of the folks that I work with in Newark now are folks that I've known from the sandbox, literally, you know, and what's happening in Newark is about, you know, people on the inside who've been doing the work for years, and Mayor Baraka empowering them to come inside City Hall to continue that work. And, you know, Bashir is just one of those folks, you know, again, one of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. 24 Hours of Peace was inspired by watching the work of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. Rest in peace, Natasha Allen, one of the powerful sisters in Newark community who, you know, one of the executive members of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition passed away last year. And Alexis Trusty, just, you know, again, I've been knowing these folks since the sandbox, grew up with them, and to see them, you know, transform their community, like you got to pitch in, you got to help. So for all the artists out there, that's our responsibility, is to help the real work going on.
Now you're still making music also, because you know my son is always very clear, because people are like, my son's an activist. He's like, I'm an artist and an activist. So he is a raptivist. That is, no, his title is raptivist. He makes sure that people know, don't try to act like I'm not still outside and I don't still have bars.
I rap my ass off, so don't play with me.
Got these bars. I met the guy, first time I met you was at Tramps at a KRS-One Redman show. This was probably 96 or 7 on 21st Street. And like you were like the talk of the town. Like my son, like you were next, right? So, you know, to know what happened and the trans, you know, what, and you come out on the other side and you're doing this, and like you're over where I'm at. Like you was over there. You come through the belly of the beast and you hear, and it's like your confirmation for what I've been working towards for like, since I got put on by Chuck, Chris, X-Clan, so forth and so on. That ability to speak the language of the people, to elevate them. So it's like, man, you influence me as much as I'm the OG and I'm before it, man. You influence me in ways you have no idea. And we have a song together called Dump Trump.
Dump Trump. That's right. Yes, sir. We definitely do.
That's
right. So,
so you have new music?
Yes. Aubrey album, produced entirely by Ron Lawrence, Hitman legend. I got Carl Thomas, KRS-One, CeeLo Green, Freeway, Malik Youssef on the project. G Simone, big shout out to G Simone, KRS-One's wife. She's on the project. And we got some bangers on there. Check it out. Ron Lawrence is no joke on the tracks. And like my son, test, I got them bars. Hard bars. Yeah.
Well, speaking of bars, you and I had, I dropped what I thought was some bars on your page the other day. And we were just talking about, this moment that we're in, which we all agree, the three of us won't argue that this is a super, super sexualized time, right? Where it's a lot of sex out here. Everybody's selling something, whatever. I'm gonna leave that at that. And I think that and also I said on your post where you were, basically showing love to India.Arie for her position that she doesn't like this moment that we're in where we're sort of mainstreaming sex in a place like Essence Fest. I think one of the things, and I'm not against India.Arie. I respect her position. I think her position is necessary because it must be a balanced conversation.
There you go.
Never have our culture be, in a space where auntie or sister, we're going to still call her sister, can't step into the chat and say, hey, let's make sure we keep our shit together, right? So I'm not against her for that. But I do have another perspective, or I think a broadened perspective on it. And I talked about how the show has so many different elements. It was full of all the things that anybody wanted to see. I was saying to my son, I go to Essence every year. I don't like to be out at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning every night. I wish they would start the concert at 2 o'clock in the afternoon so I could go to bed at 10 o'clock like normal people. But that's not what they do. Concerts go till 2 o'clock in the morning. And I look at the schedule and decide what I want to see. I don't go to everything. Some nights I'm like, some years I want to see this, I want to see that. I know I'm not going to stay up 3 nights. That's not going to happen. So I need to pick a solid 2. That's what I do. So I feel like understanding that I watched Lauryn Hill put on one of the best performances ever. Only one other time, and I've seen Lauryn Hill several times. One other time, Puff had a small thing. And my son and I somehow ended up at the front table, and my son, nobody else was there except him and Lauryn Hill in the room that night because she performed and she was so amazing. But Hakim, at Essence, Lauryn was on high. She was amazing. She was radiant and all that. So you got that, and she was fully dressed. She had everything on. Then you had, Jill Scott, who came with the old Negro spiritual, the new Star Spangled Banner. And she was, of course, fully dressed. Missy Elliott was fully dressed. She wasn't twerking. She was shimmering, but not twerking. You had a lot of people, right? And then, of course, you also have the element of the time that we're in where these younger girls, they doing what they're doing. And there's other young girls that are not doing that. So I just know that, I feel like the variety of things that's out there, when you have 1 million women coming together, people want to see different things. And so I just feel that it wasn't overly done. There was more of the other stuff and less of the Meg and Janelle Monáe twerking moments. That was one moment in a full 3 days of a festival.
Right. Well, I don't think the critique is about the whole thing. I think the critique is about that moment. So if anything goes, everything will. If we allow for anything, everything will. Now, this is my first Essence Festival, but when I think of Essence, an Essence Festival, I don't think of Blacktails. I just don't. I think of there's a level of excellence that Essence represents that you tarnish your legacy when you would go down to attach it. Now, there's a respectful way to do everything, but when you allow for anything, everything goes, and you can't then control what goes and what doesn't go. Because why can they do it, but I can't do it? You get into that argument now. I understand the times that we're in, and there's a reason for it. Like, as much as there's a sexual revolution, I can enslave you with sex. There's really, you gotta be careful. The sexual revolution, no. In a lot of ways, it's you becoming a slave to your desires and your passions and creating the environment where indecency rules the day. Where indecency is, decency isn't. So when things go wrong and you're expecting decency to step up, decency left the room when indecency stepped in. So I ain't perfect. Got my garbage. Like I said, there's somebody out there with darts for me too. But
because I struggle with the use of the term indecency when we're talking about Meg and Janelle Monáe specifically. I'm just talking about those two sisters specifically, because they was the target of India's point, right? They were the two. And I think both of them are incredibly talented. I think that Meg Thee Stallion is a great artist. I think that she's got some, she be twerking, and it is what it is. But if they had Sexy Red up there talking about booty, whatever they talking about, whatever that is, then I might agree with you. But the problem
is this. It opens the door for Sexy Red.
I don't think they're gonna ever let that.
I'm not even gonna put on like
I'm not saying
Meg and Janelle, they were in artist form.
They were.
When they let all the other sisters up on stage, that's when indecency was on we allowed, but that you can't decide. Ma, we don't want to see the crack of your ass. We just don't. Nah.
Well, I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. And I want to do another comparison too, just so it's not about women, right? So when the whole sagging pants thing happened, right, with males sagging their pants and the whole showing your underwear, like that's just indecent.
And men and women,
how fire your bars are, I don't care how dope you rhyme, it's indecent.
Yeah,
it's not for every environment. It's not for everything.
It may be indecent, but I see it all the time in some places that are quote unquote so supposed to be so professionally whatever.
And they are wrong, and you are right. Like what you just said is right. It ain't wrong just because I might or may not identify with it. It's wrong. It's wrong.
And I also feel like I also struggle here, right? I struggle in this other area. I struggle because I feel like I hear a lot of men very loudly trying to help determine what is decent or boundaries for women. And I understand that we have to respect our kings. I'm all about respecting our kings. But I also think that we as women probably need a space where we can try to work some of that stuff out, right? Because we've always been being told how we should show up. We've always been being told by men what we should look like. And I think that some of it is resistance to that. So it might be out of control. It might be out of control in some aspects, right? I'm not saying all of it, but some of it may be just a barrier breakdown of always being told what we should look like, how we should dress, how we should show up, and what is okay with society for women, right? We have been censored, if you will, and our lifestyles and everything about us has been so controlled by whatever society thinks, which includes men, not just Black men, but men in general. So I think we're seeing some resistance to that happening in this moment as well.
Yes, I agree with you there. And a lot of times, that environment to express yourself is tied to the exploitation of who gets the dollar at the end. Mm-hmm. Right. So when we look at the advertisers and the sponsors and the so forth and so on who come in and are willing to dump money here, but not dump money there, it's because the lowest common denominator is what appeals to the most people. But so if I can keep you here, this is where all the investment's gonna go. So
I agree, but we can't say that about Essence, right? Because at Essence, the investment is covering a wide array of the celebration of Black talent, right? It's covering everything. It's not like, well, they're narrowing in on a certain type of thing. And I would dare to say that there's probably some sponsors that didn't even like the whole twerk thing and the boob thing and the whole thing. They probably are not even really with that. And it might be a little bit of shock to the system as well, because I know a lot of the women specifically who handle the accounts that are millions of dollars worth of sponsorship to Essence. And I can tell you that there's not outside in that way. But I also saw them on camera up in there with Meg, like, because they like it as well. So it's a balance thing.
Can I say something? I just think, just as artists, as individuals, just as professionals, right? When you have a catalog, right? There's a way that you show up, right? You understand the dynamics, you understand your audience. I just don't think if certain people were asked to perform at certain other events that they would show up certain ways.
Meg does.
No, I don't know. But I've seen Meg come out without having on a leotard and without having on, like, I've seen her before.
Not having on a leotard, but
I've seen her come out without having what even if she does the certain dances, but the way is a certain way that she presents herself that I've seen her perform at different shows and different things where there's a different dynamic and understanding that this dynamic is different. Right. And I think as artists, we have to, because there's certain songs that I'm not going to perform everywhere. Like, I know I'm not performing My Song Lefty Gun Up in the Right Palm when I go to the school. I'm just not doing that because that's not the audience for that song, right? I'm not going to dress a certain way. There's what I'm saying is the Essence has, like he said, there's a brand of Black excellence that Essence represents, right? And I think that each of those artists you're talking about have songs and have things that are so dynamic that the Essence wants those things. And I just think that we have to attach it to the excellence that Essence is, not just saying, I'm here to get shock value. I'm gonna do some shit that nobody did to bring shock value because I want to, and I think we caught up in a shock value era. And I'm not all for that. I think a lot of times people are doing things because they want to shock somebody. When you're talent, they actually have talent that supersedes the fact that we got to talk about that you twerked and you did this. Like, we shouldn't even have it. Now it's overshadowed that you actually did dope shit there. And I think that's what the era we are in now.
Can I add on to that? You just made me think of something in terms of, the Essence brand. And maybe I got it twisted. Maybe I'm holding Essence to a higher standard than what it really is. But where I think Essence is, right? Like, there's places for everything. And we know who Meg is. We thought we know who Janelle Monáe is. She's becoming something else. And we're not mad at that at all. It's just she's transforming. But we know what Meg is. Essence should be the thing where Meg now steps up to says, I'm going to present myself. I'm Meg the Stallion. Yeah, I do these gigs here and it's all good. But when it comes to Essence, I'm going to step up. And that shows sisters across the board, or not just sisters, people across the board. There's a time to step up.
This is not, this is a woman of high esteem. We know that she can do it.
That's why I'm saying that. I think that's where my struggle is, that I don't see it. I don't think her brand was I don't know. I need to think about this more because, and that's okay to say, like, as a woman, I need to think about it more because I know that as the two of you are speaking, and I don't mean this in a dramatic way, there are things that you're saying that's triggering me and the freedom of my womanhood, right? Like it's triggering me to say that I don't, because people say the same thing to me.
But the thing is,
let me
it's not
finish.
womanhood.
No, but let me finish. No, I'm saying because Essence is about, for the most part, it's about women, right? For the most part. And I don't know what Lil Wayne did when he was there, if any of his songs was the stuff that we know has misogyny in it, but I'm sure it probably was, right? Because and he performed, and nobody is talking about how it was 10 lyrics or 3 of his songs disrespected or degraded women, right? But when
I don't think it's the lyrical thing. I don't think that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I agree with her. I agree with her in that sense that Essence is for women, and then you have an artist who's a large portion of his music is degrading women. That's really a conflict in messaging.
Exactly. So it's a lot of conflict in general of things that have to be negotiated in order to give people what they want, right? Or whatever. So it triggers me, but I want to be thoughtful about how all of this, because you said something and my son's been saying it to me all week because we've been talking about this over and over again. It's all connected. And we know we're in a time when things in our community, there's some challenges, some serious challenges we're up against with the ways in which we behave or are behaving as a community and a lot of things that we see playing out. And I know that there must be a connection somewhere with the entertainment, because we know I'm Black and I'm proud. And those moments were moments that lifted our people up and we see something else happening. I'm just saying that I would like for the two of you to hear that I have people who come to my social media, and I've had brothers, specifically some of my brothers, more spiritual brothers, I'm not going to put specific titles out there, come to me and tell me that I should not have a bikini on online because people are not going to respect me as a leader, and that's problematic for me.
But
right?
What I'm trying to say is, so let me
let me just finish my point and you take it. Because I'm showing up as my full self, right? On my social media, my full self is there. Now, it's some other things that I probably do that maybe, and I don't know, maybe not, but there's some other things I might do that's not on social media. But I'm saying that I feel slightly oppressed by my own brothers that I know love me when I'm told that I can't be in the bikini online because somehow that's going to make people not want to show up in a fight that we're in that has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm wearing. And so when I hear us talking about decency around this other thing, it triggers me. And I don't have I can't put a punchline on what I'm saying, but we're going to come back and talk about this again.
Let me just say one more thing. Your social media is your personal, this is your personal life.
Not with those million people that's on there.
No, they're following you. You didn't follow them. You didn't go into their arena. You didn't go into their house. You didn't go into the church with your bathing suit on and decide that you're going to say a speech in a bathing suit because you should be able to do it. You are 100% aware that when certain organizations and certain places come, you understand that there is something that's required to do that. You dress a certain way because you're multifaceted.
I don't agree with that, but okay. You know that we've been breaking those barriers.
No, you break
know that we have been showing up places where people have expected us to do things a certain way, and we have been like, that's just not what we're doing.
No, but that's not what we do anyway. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm trying to explain to you, we don't do certain things. So we don't go trying to act like we do something. And the people that call, but the thing is, what we also don't do, you know how to be, when you decide you want to look pretty on Instagram, you post a pretty picture. When you decide that you at the beach, you post a picture at the beach. That's what you want. That's your personal thing. But you understand that when you go into the rally, you ain't going in a bathing suit to the rally. You're not trying to get shock value.
But I might wear some booty cutters.
But the thing is this.
And that's a fact. I'm just saying, I might do it. I had this conversation with Minister Farrakhan. Me and the minister had a very specific conversation because you know his perspective.
But are you going to the mosque with booty cutters on?
No, of course not.
You know why?
Y'all think Essence, I don't know if I think everybody at Essence wants to see this thing that you guys
But I'm trying to say, Essence has
we can argue all day. Hakim, You will never get off of this thing.
But the
with
problem
No,
is
it's all good. It's all good. I
this.
just gotta. I want to spin back to 24 hours apiece, right? So, okay, 24 hours apiece, right, is initially was for positive artists like myself, my son, to have a stage to do our thing and kind of and promote that whole messaging. When we do that, it's like, you know, we get 600-700 people, 1,500 people, whatever. You know, 2021 was a big year, but last year we did drill. We did Fabio Foreign, G Herbo, Too Rare. We had Fabulous, who's gun heavy in all his music. We had CL Smooth, myself. We tried to balance it out, but because of Fabio Foreign, G Herbo, and Fabulous, that's what brought the numbers out. Now we on stage, it's 24 hours apiece. Every other song is I'll blow your head off, I'll put a gun in your mouth, I'll do this, I'll do that. Raz is looking at me like, yo, Hop, you gotta fix this, you gotta do something. G Herbo's set was just total murder, kill. I'll sexually assault you. I'll sexually assault you. I'll sexually assault you. All the little girls knew every word, and he's talking about sexual assault. It's art. It's music. I'm not saying that's what he's about. It's music, but I know what he's saying, and he's talking about killing Black people and sexually assaulting Black people, and he's being celebrated. They know every word. So after he gets off his set, I had to reset the room, reset the table, bring people back to why we here. Because on the 24 hours of peace stage, we shouldn't be promoting that, even though there's a reason why he's talking about that. We know Black men are oppressed. We know they've done it. We know all these things, but at some point, we got to draw a line and say, you can't do that here. And I don't know if we figured it out, because we might be back to 700 people if we do that.
Okay. Well, this is a very important conversation that we're having. And I think it's one that we need to continue to have, because this is the way to do it, right? Like, this is the way to have the conversation about what's appropriate, what's not, when and how, and not have white folks determine what should and should not happen in our communities and where our people can show up certain ways. I'm just hoping that, based upon me telling you about the swimsuit thing and all of that, that it also helps to broaden your perspective and understanding of what it feels like to be a woman who has many different, I have all kinds of things with me. You know what I'm saying? I talk about twerk and work all the time, and it has actually drawn a lot of younger people and different people, especially women, to my world. And to, they come to me because I'm like, I twerk and work, so I can do both things. I can be all those things. And it has been not so much a marketing tool, but it has helped people to see me in more than just one thing. And I've been winning folks into the movement because they're like, Tamika is different, right? And so I understand there's a place and time for everything. I do. I get it. But I also know that Jamal Bryant, are just giving an example, when he's preaching, he understands that he's got to kind of go to the line in an area that is very different than the regular, and his church is packed full of people who are there because he's going to get up there and say lyrics. He's going to talk about stuff that might be a little racy, and it's working in terms of his messaging. So we just got to figure out a balance. That's all I'm saying. It's a balance.
There's nothing wrong with the balance. It's just that we can't go too far. It's just like when but Jamal Bryant also know when he went way too far, they tore his ass up. Yeah. Right? You remember that when he did all that, they said, "Oh no, bro, you ain't gonna come in here with that." Right? So we got to understand that the reality of it.
Yeah. And Tamika, you're talking about looking at the culture, analyzing the culture, and being strategic in how you engage with the culture. Because most people using that language, male and female, are looking to exploit young people. So again, when we create the environment where anything goes, everything will. You're talking about being strategic, setting barriers, doing things for a higher purpose than just the culture. This is what they're doing.
Or this is what they want. So I'm just going to appease them, because sometimes it's like giving your kid, just keep giving them sugar all day because they ask for it. No, I know I can't keep giving you sugar because it's killing you.
But you give them some sugar though.
Yeah.
Some though.
Exactly. But you gotta, like they said, you gotta put the the cherry inside the cough drop, right? Because you want it to taste good, but where's the cough drop? See, when there ain't no cough drop there, that's where the problem is.
You said that they were
Because ain't no
showing
medicine.
whatever you said. I didn't see this part about the other
Oh
women.
yeah, they brought a whole bunch of people on stage. It was like, it's everybody, all types, all sizes, all shapes, all ages.
But they was dressed?
No, I mean, no, the one girl, her whole thing went up. You could see the crack up behind. And it was a few of them. The girl
not helping me with my argument.
It was what it was because it's Meg. It's, we get it, but it's like, okay, this is why I'm not there. When I saw the video, I was like, okay, that's why I don't go to those parties.
I just want you to know that B is clapping cheeks in her concert right now. Just for everybody to know. I can't wait. I'm on my way.
It's a concert, just like Meg gonna clap cheeks in her concert, but B is not gonna go to the Essence Award and clap cheeks. She just ain't gonna do it.
I don't think that's true.
Well, I don't think that's
true. She's gonna dance. I don't think.
That's not true.
But she's not going. But she's going to do it with a different level. She's going to understand the room
because it's a certain way.
Exactly.
Can I ask y'all a question? What was the watermelon song about? Or was it lemonade or what was it?
Lemonade.
Lemonade. What was the song that was it was real gutter, but it was Beyonce. And when it came, it was
on the Lemonade album about the lollipop or something. Beyonce got some shit that when you listen to it.
Right, but I'm saying it's like, the girl is super talented, one of the greatest ever do it, don't even front. I got you. But it's like certain songs just shouldn't be on the radio. Kids is going to school, and I had to be real because one of my favorite songs, bunch of my favorite songs, national anthems for us, is degrading. Okay. It sets the stage for nothing positive, actually. And they're going to school like that.
By the time you got knowledge and understand it, you already like the song.
You done. You done.
Only because we've got to go. And I want to be thoughtful about my response because, again, I'm taking into account that you brothers are two people that love Black folks, right? So everything you're saying is because we want to see Black folks at our highest selves. We know what's going on in our communities. We know that our young girls, the way in which they are, some of the behavior that we see is very problematic and is dangerous. And so the culture certainly has room for critique. And so I'm for that. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it at that. I wanna drop a bomb in this conversation, but I think this is such a rich dialogue that it requires revisiting it and allowing other people to play a role in the conversation to talk through, their feelings about these things. I know one thing I don't agree with is when any entertainer says, I'm not a role model. That's a lie. And that's a lie. So that's something.
Actually, it's a cop out.
Yeah, and everybody's a role model, a good one or a bad one. Everybody's a role model.
That's right. Well, Brother Green, Hakim Green, thank you so much for joining the Street Politician. I feel like we more so sat in the living room and just kicked it and talked. Blessings over 24 hours of peace, because you're doing 365 days of peace. That's what you do every day. That's what we try to work towards. And we need all the support that we can get, because there is so much attention and focus on the negative aspects of, in our community. And so when folks step out, like you have been for so long, to do the work you're doing, we have to salute you, send you prayers and positivity, because it's not easy. It is not easy. So thank you for everything you're doing, and we love you, and we support you.
Likewise. You guys are so got the battery in my back in a real way. Every time I see you guys out there, it's like, yeah, thank God somebody loves Black people, and you guys love Black people. Appreciate you.
All right, thank you, King.
Peace.
iWoman TV, a digital streaming news and entertainment network featuring stories and content created through a female lens, a place where female content creators can reach a global female audience. With a vast library, iWoman TV showcases original and licensed content centered around the topics and issues that matter most to us. iWoman is not just another women's network, it's a movement. Join me to change the world one woman at a time.
Shout out to my brother Hakim Green, man. Dope conversation, the work he does in Newark and just in general, you know, as an educator and just somebody who's actually for our people is just dope. You know, we got music together. Go out and get his album, Aubrey, that he said he just dropped. And you know, it's not much else to say. Follow him, man. If you don't know Hakim Green from Channel Live, the legendary group, all we do is smoke Mattism. Like, they was one of the first people on the cannabis thing back in the days, and it was signed to KRS-One. So, and he's still doing this thing on just a high level, man. 24 hours, like I could tell you, 24 hours a piece is a real big thing in Newark that they do. You know, so shout out to him on that. And so let me go to my I don't get it, because this is like one of the biggest topics. You know, everybody's been talking about Keke Palmer and her boyfriend, baby daddy, whatever. And you know, there's been a lot of weighing in, and it's not my job, it's not my place to tell anybody how to handle their relationship, right? Because everybody's relationship is different. Things that work in somebody's relationship might not work for me, you know? And then if you in a relationship where there are major things that you have that are, you know, non-negotiable, and your partner doesn't have that, then you're probably in the wrong relationship, right? If he feels that how she dresses wasn't something that mom should do and this and that, and they're in a relationship and they haven't come to terms with that, and this is a non-starter for you, and she's saying pretty much I'm gonna wear what I want, then you're probably in the wrong relationship. And that's just the reality. Sometimes people are not equally yoked. Sometimes you attracted to somebody, you like somebody, cool, this and that, but there's certain things that you're not willing to negotiate that person is not willing to negotiate either, on the opposite side of the spectrum. And you just have to understand that, and you got to move on from that. But my I don't get it is not even about that. My I don't get it is pretty much about why grown people, family members, friends, close friends, people who claim to love you or do all these things are utilizing social media to have discourse. Like, to me, like, I'm so disturbed at it. Like, I'm watching everybody go to social media with millions and hundreds of thousands of people who don't give a fuck about you, who just want to critique you, who just want to tear you down, who just want the tea on your information, to where you can't even come back from it, right? Because this conversation that this man had with his woman about his woman, as she came home, and he had that same conversation and be like, yo, you alone. Like, what the fuck is you doing out there? That might have been just a debate. Well, come on, what are you talking about? I'm sexy. But nah, but I don't think it was all right. I see you in this man's face and this and that. You like, we supposed to be in a relationship. I think it was disrespect. Whatever it was, it could have been a dialogue that they had amongst each other that could have got settled. Now, you putting your personal business on the internet has caused so much. We got think pieces, we got dissertations, we got everybody in the world is playing in on your relationship, right? And then what it does is it either lessens your value or it lessens her value, because now you got men trying to disrespect her, you got women disrespecting you, you got other men disrespecting you, it's so many different things, and the world is divided, and now you can't even have your own personal relationship no more, right? So why I just don't get why people, or who told people that it made sense for you to take your personal relationship, your personal issue with people that you've known for years, people that you share intimate space with, people who you got their phone number, people who you could text, people who you know where they live, that you can knock on their door, that you sharing your personal information and differences on the internet. I don't get what the fuck that is. It's so far from me. I get, you might have a moment, you know, you writing. I just literally just seen some other shit that some of our friends just sent me. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. Why is people putting their personal business on the internet? we gotta listen. It is a recipe for disaster. Because that 2 seconds that you mad at your friend, your girl, this and that you write something in anger, it don't disappear. Now it's in the cloud. This shit is in the algorithm, and it's showing up every time when you over it and y'all trying to be cool and you walking by and they gonna be like, Kiki, you shouldn't be with that nigga. He too weak. Come fuck with a player and all type of shit. Or the girls walking up to him. Yeah, she don't respect you. You need, like, why are you putting people in your personal business?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's a lot. That conversation is a whole different, there's so many layers to personal business on social media. A lot of people feel like it's their only outlet. And the majority of
you feel like it's your only outlet.
well,
What was your
the majority of
social
people,
media?
the majority of people who go to social media, and this is what I have to say about the Kiki thing, and I'll end it here. And there's much more. We can talk about this every week. But the majority of the reason why people go to social media is because they are looking to embarrass they're looking to harm a person. They want to harm their brands. They want to expose them, embarrass them. They are looking to do something to negatively impact that person's life, right? That's the reason why they do it. So that's what makes this whole situation with Kiki's boyfriend, that's the reason why it's problematic. It's problematic because, in my opinion, I don't know him, so I can't, but in my opinion, he literally was doing it to shame her, right? And that's why people go to social media, because they want to shame the person who they feel hurt them, betrayed them, or whatever. They want to shame them. They want to hurt them. They want to hit them where it hurts, where they feel like everybody knows about it. The problem is, as with every situation that I have watched play out, when you try to shoot at somebody on social media, the shit backfires. It always backfires. It always somehow, because as you said, the intention for what you're trying to do, you can't control what the response is going to be from millions of people who are now able to weigh in on your situation. So while you think that you're just going to harm that one person and isolate them, what generally happens is that people who share a variety of perspectives have loud voices, and you find yourself having to shut your social media down or having to protect your family maybe, or your whatever things that you care about, your own brand. Because now when you Google the brother's name, because I did it, I just wanted to see. The headlines are like, so-and-so shames such and such. Like, it doesn't work out for you the way in which you think it should. It just doesn't. It never, ever, ever does. I have watched this happen so many different times where, to your point, you open up the door. And by the way, you actually might be freeing, like he might have freed Kiki from the relationship, because now you're giving people a reason to say, oh, you went to the internet? I don't know. That's it. Like, I'm not saying she's going to do that. I'm just saying that it's counterproductive, and it's hard because sometimes we all feel like we want people to know, or we want to rally people together around our feelings or our thoughts or whatever, but it just never works out. And it didn't work out in this situation. And if I'm in a relationship with a man, I don't give a damn what has happened. I do not care. At the moment that a man goes to social media about me, his level of manliness to me has reduced significantly. That's just my feeling. I don't even see anything, because the men that I know in my family, the men I'm around, they don't even really do social media, first of all. So, they kind of do it. My brother's like, I'm kind of into it because y'all be on here all the time. So I'm gonna come over here and see what's going on. So he can post a picture of his kids and see the nieces and nephews and, you know, sell his products and whatnot. But for him to get on the internet and write something specifically towards his loved one, that'll never happen.
It don't even make sense. It's just very weird. And it's like, we have normalized shit that is so whack in this culture now, you know, and I think that's what the problem is. A lot of people are seeing shit and people say that's old school. And it's like, why, how keeping your family business in your household is old school, right? I just want to be old school. Like my family business and my personal business with my friends and issues. Like, I don't need the internet to know those issues. I just don't need them.
And that's precisely why they want to do it, because they think that you don't want it to, that they're exposing you or they're harming you by saying, oh, I'm just thinking about the 50 Cent son, coming out like, oh, we need money, or I don't have any money or whatever. And it ended up, and in other situations, it happened with Master P's son, right? It happened with a number of young people who tried to come out and say their parents were not financially supporting them properly. And you know what ends up happening? The same kid ends up going back to the internet like, y'all can shut up. Nobody asked you for your opinion. I'm not looking for a handout. You end up having to try to defend yourself, because now when you was just trying to get a message to your dad or your aunt or your mama or whoever it is, now people are like, take your lazy ass to work. Nobody owe you anything. And that might not even be right. That might actually be wrong. The parent might really be wrong.
But it don't matter because
it doesn't matter.
But you open it to somebody else's perspective.
Like, look at what happened with Aoki Simmons. Same thing. She came out and said what she had to say about Russell, which I'm sure at the time, whatever was going on, she was hurt. She was angry. When I saw the video of Russell responding, and we know Russell very well. So when I saw the video of how he was responding, the words that he was saying, I'm your father. It's some pain. That's clear. It's pain. And no parent is perfect. No parent. So I'm sure whatever pain is there, he's been party to it. And she also, she feels how she feels. He's been party to it. Her mama is party to it, because that's just the way it goes, right? That's parents. It's the nature of relationships. But I know that after she came out and said what she said, everything she said could have been 100% on point, but she spent the next few days defending herself and arguing with people online who was now giving their opinion and saying nasty things
about some shit that they really don't even know about.
That's what happened.
Somebody giving an opinion based on words that you said, not even understanding the dynamics, and is drawing a bigger wedge between you and the person that you say that you love and you care about. So how do you think that's progressive? I don't. Who have you seen it work for? Like,
in her defense, this is a young lady, right? She's a young lady. So
I wasn't even talking about her.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She's a young lady. So kids sometimes do things that we have to give a lot of grace to our kids. I was just using those as examples of how you find, I'm sure all of the young people who've been in the last year in the press for arguing with their parents and they've had to defend themselves, they probably would advise another person, let's not do this because it doesn't really work out exactly as you want it to do. I mean, even just something like where Jaden recently said, oh, my mom, introduced us to psychedelics. That shit done turned into a whole big thing. And I'm sure he just was trying to say, my mom introduced us to something that's been helpful. Whether you agree with it or not is not the point. I'm saying, I'm sure he was not trying to hurt his mother. Exactly. And now here we go. So you just have to be careful how you use social media, because it just is not what people think. It's not.
It isn't. And the more viewership you have and the more bigger your voice is, you have to be a lot more careful about the things that you say.
Oh, you know that? Because I'm very surprised to hear you say that, because you one of the main damn people.
The thing is, so You tell me that, but I don't care. See, I'm trying to tell you, it's not so much that I don't care about it. The things that I say, I've already made up my mind that I'm willing to deal with the consequence of whatever I say. And I don't talk about my personal business on the internet. I just don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I talk about shit that's public knowledge and public opinions, and I give my opinion of public shit. But I'm not going on there with my own personal shit. That's not happening. So if somebody has a problem with my public view of some public shit,
True.
I don't give a fuck about it.
But still, while yes, what you are saying is 100% right, still, the rule applies across the board. It may not be, it is different. It is different, but the rule generally applies across the board that you have to be careful when you start speaking on social media, right? And there have been some situations in my life, your life, a lot of it, where we probably would do things differently from how, however we reacted on social media or how we responded. There are times when you post things, right? And I'm talking about, these are public issues. It doesn't matter. My opinion of these things is, who cares, right? Nobody but our little followers care about my opinion. And I get ready to write back to you my opinion. And then I realize I could just text you and tell you that, right? Or I get ready, and it happens with a lot of the people. Sometimes you do, like with the situation with Hakim, I dropped a very non-confrontational perspective in his comments just so that it could broaden the convo, and it's cool.
Because the dialogue that's needed. We had the conversation here.
Sometimes when my brothers be posting shit and I be pissed. Like, I don't know, Angelo posted something one day about relationships or women or some shit, and I wrote back like, and I thought about it and I deleted it immediately. Because one of the things that I realized is that, and this is a different conversation, is one, I can text him. But two, what it does is open up the arena for the floodgates for people to feel like there's dissension in my organization or with my friends and people that I'm close to. And I'm not gonna lie,
your voice to attack them. People utilize your voice to attack somebody. Yeah.
It's too dangerous. Like, our work it's literally dangerous. I'm talking about life-threatening danger when people feel that they can see something is wrong. Because then they become infiltrators,
like they can attack you
who are attempting to harm you. Exactly.
Ride and come.
There we go.
And with that said,
delete the apps, delete everything. I wouldn't get on threads. If they pay me, I won't get on no threads. I
like threads. Threads is just, you can put your thoughts and people comment. You put shit up there that you thinking and get a whole thread of people comment. It's cool. It's just a thread. It ain't that confrontation.
Maybe one day in life, but right now, I'm gonna let y'all have that.
Yeah, I feel
like I have too much social media already.
Once in a while, I might write something there. For the most part, it ain't gonna be a thing. It's gonna be like I did Twitter. Twitter wasn't something that I commonly did.
You went on Twitter and learned that once you go on there, you have to commit to fighting, literally, physically fighting.
Yeah, I went there to fight though. That's the only reason I went to Twitter. I went there because we was in a war.
You ended up having to say, you know what? You ended up having to come back to me and say, you know what? You was right. Right.
But I went there to fight though. I definitely went there to fight. I went there fisticuffs balled up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but whatever.
Whatever. Thank y'all for tuning in to Street Politicians. We love y'all for making us the #1 show in the world. We appreciate y'all. If you have any ideas, critiques, anything, hit us at Street Politicians Pod. Let us know what you want to hear, who you want to see. Give us some ideas for topics, everything. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all. And as always, I'm not going to always be right. Tamika's not going to always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it.